Well, across regional Australia, it's Wayne in Wagga Wagga, maybe the capital of regional Australia in some respects, the big inland city that it is in New South Wales, but on the Murrumbidgee River, and as those rivers all head down towards the Murray, it is part of the famous Riverina, a huge area for agriculture, a whole range of different agricultures through the Riverina, but it is like a microcosm of the wider Australian agriculture scene, and the towns are in some ways a microcosm of rural Australia and what is happening in rural Australia. And as I've travelled in the last 7 weeks through South Australia, Victoria and New South Wales, I would have visited on each day about 10 clients, and I would add that up to approximately 280 clients that I would have seen. That is not the people that are all on the flow as advertisers, but I visit a whole range of different people, and many of those are on our station as advertisers. Many are contemplating advertising. Others are just machinery dealers and those that I drop in on and to get some feedback about what's happening in local areas, councils and so on too that I do visit, and then in other cases tourism operators and motels and things that I stay at. So it's a really good microcosm of what is the big problem, and it in regional Australia is no longer that there aren't jobs, it's that we can't get people to fill them, and this has become a huge issue. It's one that Canberra is aware of. There is a summit that's being held on the 16th and 17th of March, and the second day of that summit is the launching of a multi-million-dollar national awareness campaign. This is a campaign by the Regional Australia Institute aimed at getting people in metropolitan areas to move into the country. Now, the campaign officially being unveiled is Regional Australia Institute's Regions Rising National Summit, Growing Regional Australia, Shaping the Good Life. The campaign will include television, radio, print, billboard, digital marketing, social media. And the Regional Australia Institute's CEO is Liz Ritchie. She says this campaign is going to capture the hearts and minds of metropolitan audiences and ask them to rethink what regional Australia has to offer. Well, I tell you what, over Australia Day weekend, they have some terrific lamb advertisements, and if that is not enough, just coming out into the good life and getting the barbie going, then I don't know what is, but there needs to be a lot more in terms of the emphasis on business, the emphasis on housing, the emphasis on opportunity, and the emphasis on a better life, a better lifestyle, education, health, and all those things come into it. So why did people move out into regional Australia, say 100 to 150 years ago? They did so because they wanted to survive. It was a livelihood thing. There wasn't social security. There was just simply somebody with a dream, somebody with a vision, somebody that had married a young lady, a fellow and a lady, often heading out with a bullock wagon, cutting down some scrub, taking up an opportunity that might even included pulling some tree stumps for firewood and adding some dairy cows, maybe some sheep, and then away they went with their early farming. It was tough going. There were droughts, there were tough times, but they forged towns. There were little churches that were built on hills across these towns to exercise their faith. They built pubs in the main streets to socially catch up. They formed sporting clubs like football teams to take on the nearby town and to have bragging rights. And, of course, they had children in number. Yes, they were the good old days, but how do we return to that, where they talk about research that shows 1 in 5 people living in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane or Perth would like to relocate to the country to live and work there. And that's the research that they need to get off the ground. And this is backed by the federal government. This campaign will be launched by the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Michael McCormack. And this is happening at the Hotel Realm. It's at the National Circuit in Canberra. The 17th of March at 7:45am is when the Regional Australia Institute campaign launch takes place, and I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more about this. I say that 150 years ago, maybe even more in some places, other places 100, 120 years ago, people had the faith, had the ability to get out there and take a risk. Now we need a new generation of people to do so that we can get skilled workers, diesel mechanics, fitting and turning people, people to run businesses, bakers and also candlestick makers, well, maybe some butchers and also some vegetable growers, there's a lot of people that could pick vegetables and come to regional Australia to enjoy a great lifestyle. I'm certainly enjoying the lifestyle of regional Australia, catching up with folk across those towns. And again, let's get collectively behind this campaign by the Regional Australia Institute.